Hello, Internet. Welcome to Ace Attorney, the game where you get to fulfill the fantasy of being an attorney who knows nothing about law and yet somehow is going to miraculously win anyway. I'm jumping us right into the action. This is my first time playing this game. This game is called The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, which is itself a compilation of two games: Great Ace Attorney Adventure, and the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve, I think. Both this game and the Ace Attorney trilogy are 50% off right now on PlayStation Plus. And I've always wanted to get into the Ace Attorney series, so I decided, what the hell, let's give this a try. The Great Ace Attorney is a play on the words the Great, I think the Great... The Great Mouse Detective, which is itself a play on Sherlock Holmes. It's set in Japan, but I presume at some point it's going to shift to being set in Britain around the time of Sherlock Holmes. And the art leads me to believe that there is a Sherlock Holmesian type character who I haven't been introduced to yet. Because before we can get there, we have to survive being tried for murder. That's right. They're throwing us right into the deep end with this game. We don't even have our law degree yet. We are a second-year university law student in Japan, and we're being tried for a murder we didn't commit. Let me explain. No. It's too complicated. Let me sum up. You're the second-year university student of a law university in Japan in a tumultuous time in which the influence from the West is changing the way of life in Japan, and some people like it and some people hate it. A famous university professor from Great Britain who's visiting was murdered right in front of me, and I was caught with a gun in my hand, standing a few feet away. Was immediately accused of murder, and well, the state wants to throw the book at me. It's very important for their alliance with Great Britain that someone gets found guilty fast. That someone is me. Guy named Ryonosuke. That's right. I wish I could tell you that I was the confident-looking dude on the left, but no, I am the crazy-eyed-looking doofus on the right. The confident-looking dude on the left is the star student of my academy. Not only is he the highest grade student, but he also has passed all the requirements to become a practicing lawyer before he's even finished university. He came here. He's my best friend, and he was supposed to defend me, but I declined his invitation to defend me because if I was found guilty and he was my defense, it was going to cost him his scholarship to go study in Europe or something like that. So here we are. I'm defending myself. He's giving me advice in a very tutorial-ish manner, but he is explicitly not being my defense. He is my assistant. Yeah. And that's what being an ace attorney is all about. Defending yourself, apparently. As you can see, there's been some proceedings already in this trial. I didn't feel like streaming, and then I changed my mind. But so far, the prosecution has called a few witnesses. A key witness so far who apparently witnessed me shoot the man from behind is on the stand right now. But we cross-examined him and revealed some evidence, this photograph namely, that proves that the victim was shot from the front, not the back. This completely destroys the testimony of that witness, but that witness being this guy. But that doesn't get me off the hook just yet. So I'm sure there's going to be many more twists and turns in my first ever trial defending myself against murder. Yep. That's the breaks of it. This is the guy I ostensibly killed, Dr. John H. Wilson, a medical doctor from the British Empire. I am 100% positive that he is meant to be an allegory for Sherlock Holmes's Dr. Watson. They just called him Wilson instead because they obviously didn't want to use the same name, I'm sure. No doubt that his death will lead me, assuming I can get off the hook for this crime, will lead me to encounter that Sherlock Holmes character I saw on the cover of the box. But at this point, it's just conjecture. I don't actually know. I know absolutely nothing about this game beyond the fact that it's an Ace Attorney game, and it's set in Victorian England or Japan or whatever, and yeah, that's about it. I've only ever played one Ace Attorney game, the Ace Attorney spin-off on the Nintendo DS, and I never finished it. So that's the extent of my knowledge of Ace Attorney. I always thought, as far as visual novels games goes, it's one of the better ones. I love courtroom dramas, and the idea of being an investigator and a lawyer trying to defend an impossible case at the same time is great. And who doesn't love shouting objection? Though so far I haven't gotten to shout objection once yet, but that's because I'm in the tutorial. Let's proceed and find out what happens next. And we can learn what being an Ace Attorney is all about. No, but I definitely saw him. Oh yeah, we just learned that this guy has a baby on it, attached to his back. No doubt that maybe has something to do with why he's distracted and maybe didn't remember the crime. But he just moments before, he accused me. He said that he witnessed me shoot the victim, and the judge was going to throw the book at me, saying, well, if we have a witness, it's an open and shut case. But he was lying. That university cadet there, he was pointing the firearm directly at the victim's back. Yes, well, but I never fired the gun. All I did was pick it up off the floor. And you, old man? You didn't see the moment the victim was shot either? This is quite clear. Actually, you have not been clear, old man. You've been anything but clear. If anything, we've already established that nobody can understand a word you're saying. The gun soul interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. That's how he speaks. Too busy on the floor, eh? Sorry, what were you doing? Hunting for treasure. Oh, this guy's insane. Okay. Treasure. Indeed, the warrior Cabal, my prized kind. On each occasion when I visit our restaurant, in spite of me to the place to wash some poker on the particular shop prostitute. Does that make sense to you guys? Did you understand what he said? It's a good thing there's subtitles, eh? In the hope of meeting a rich diner who might like to buy it from you? Already on the scoot now, I was a military man that I'm moving my treasure. Plain as you would watch us as a hole on the dot, but I will pay you the little alternative. Indeed, after reading my life for the birds and wings, it's always terrible. It's simply vanished. The Kaban vanished. Oh,
the depot. I was in the Great myself, which had fallen there, and then it happened.
Bang. You heard the gunshot, you mean?
Indeed, I did, but I needed not where it was concerned only with finding my absconded high treasure. Nothing can distract me.
Out of interest, did you find the coin in the end?
No.
I see.
And lamentable day, the precious high coin was lost to me.
No doubt some unscrupulous scoundrel pocketed the prized coin for himself. Oh, that was the same guy. As I'm sure everyone present is aware, this case demands a swift and decisive resolution. Our government has promised to send a full report to Great Britain by telegraph this very afternoon. Nevertheless, this witness testimony the court has just heard was inconclusive. No matter how subservient our government must feel to the British, it would be unforgivable to deliver a verdict on this trial right now.
What is your position, Prosecutor Archie?
Worry not, Your Excellency. The defendant may have fled a tiger at the front gate, but he will find a wolf at the back. My witnesses have further testimony to make.
Explain.
Upon hearing the next statements, it will become abundantly clear that there is only one person who could possibly have committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant, Ryonosuke Naruto. I didn't pronounce that right. Oh well. What? This is all my character says. He sits there and he listens to other people talk, and then he exclaims and goes in shock and awe. He really seems to have a despicable opinion of you, doesn't he? Very well. The court invites the witnesses to testify again. You will thoroughly explain the reasoning behind the prosecution's allegations. Is that clear?
As clear as Kikiko glass, Your Excellency.
Yes, sir. At once, sir. Awaiting signal to testify, sir. Excuse me, but there's something or someone peeking out over your shoulder, I think. Affirmative. The newest member of the Nosa family to rise up through the ranks, sir. Name Ado. It would seem those straps are a sign of the sergeant being too strapped to afford a nanny. Ado, Teen Shun. Your father is about to quell the enemy. Watch and learn, my boy. Witness testimony. Well, all right. The true culprit. How are these liars being allowed to remain on the stand when they've been caught in a lie? Anyway, I don't know. I guess the guy on the right hasn't been caught in a lie yet. Even what I saw wasn't the precise moment the firearm was discharged. It's almost the same thing.
Yes, pointing his gun at the horn man, he was. I got that black. That much I myself did see.
Furthermore, our visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present.
Indeed. Alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself.
Therefore, no one other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched with the Englishman. Over and out. What a testimony. A terrible testimony. These testimonies are... Oh, wait, that's nonsense. The victim, Dr. Wilson, wasn't alone at all. That's right. We learned earlier that he was dining with a woman, probably the murderer. Please, enough of these outbursts already. I'm forgetting who. Too many characters to voice all at once. It's a one-man show here. I gotta voice them all. But there was a woman. There was a young woman at his table. You must have seen her. Everyone there must have seen her. If you call yourself a lawyer, then you will respect the rules of the court and speak accordingly. We are not here to listen to your fantasies. It is evident beyond all reasonable doubt that the victim was alone at the time of the incident. 3 witnesses have attested to such already. The prosecution also has photographic evidence of this fact.
Is this a photographic print of the scene of the crime, counsel?
Indeed, of the table at which the victim was dining, taken by an investigator immediately after the incident. As can plainly be seen, there's only one place set.
Certainly, based on the appearance of this print, it would be reasonable to conclude that the victim was not in the company of anyone else.
This doesn't make any sense.
The court will add this new photographic evidence to the record.
A bottle of Chardonnay, carbonated water, and a steak lunch can be seen at the victim's table. I don't understand. What's going on here? It's just not possible that nobody else saw that woman. The waiter before said the same thing. He maintains that Dr. Wilson came to the restaurant alone as well. But that's not true. I saw her. I swear I saw a woman with him.
It would seem that we'll be able to telegraph the report to Great Britain on time after all. The witness testimonies we have just heard leave no further room for doubt.
There are very sensitive political times, as we all know. The ink is still fresh on the treaty with Great Britain. To think that I, Taketsu Ochi, will have contributed to the amenity of these 2 great empires is an honor. How can this be happening? The judge is ready to rule. Stand tall, Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. What? If what you say is true, then there's something going on here behind the scenes. And now is your chance to expose it, to draw out the truth in your cross-examination. I don't know, Kazuma.
The defense is entitled to cross-examine the witness, but make it quick, understood?
Rules can be so unbending at times. Well, all right. We need to find some inconsistency in what was said.
Yes!
No. It's not the same thing at all. For a start, I didn't fire that gun. We have a difference of opinion on that. Their opinion, that of an officer, of an uninformed officer versus that of a fledgling cadet. I don't think so. Consider this, defendant. Just a moment ago, I blinked. Did you? Did you see it? Did you see me blink? No, you idiot. Nobody sees your eyes. You're wearing impregnable glasses. How could I? And yet it is an undeniable fact that I did blink. So there you have it. Have what? Tian! The sound of the firearm rang in my ears, and the very next moment, I saw you waving the gun at the Englishman. I think that says it all, don't you? Let's not forget that the antiques dealer witnessed the accused in this most incriminating position as well. That's so, Korekuta-san?
Yeah, pointing his gun at the foreign man. He was that young lad in black. That much I myself did see.
But how could you see it if you were so busy looking for your coin? And also, the defense doesn't dispute that I was holding that gun in time. But I've told you already that's only because I picked it up off the floor. Well, obviously, the culprit, that's the only way you could explain it away. I had just finished drinking my coffee, and I was about to leave the restaurant when I noticed a gun on the floor at Dr. Wilson's feet, so I picked it up, like an idiot. And at that exact moment, bang, a gunshot rang in my ears. I guess this is before forensic evidence can conclusively determine whether or not a gunshot had fired. Must be. Full of events beyond our control, life is. Oh, you don't say. Sorry, what do you mean?
In your case, you found a pistol on the floor, and I went in to get it a testing predicament. Whereas conversely, I feel make up to go out on the floor and find myself in an equally testing predicament as a result. Anyway, the fact remains, myself I did see you, with pistol in hand, standing over the foreigner.
I have a little magnifying glass, that's cute.
Yes!
You must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table. There was a lady there.
Objection!
As you have been at pains to point out time and again, I feel I'm growing a callus in my ear. And yet, no one else appears to have caught even a glimpse of this woman. If only there'd been more people dining at the time, then someone else would have noticed her. Fortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened. A quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant. I know, of course, the place was almost empty. It's what you'd expect.
Certainly 2 p.m. is neither here nor there in terms of a time to eat. I wonder if there was a reason why the victim was eating at that time of day, and why he was alone.
Yes, Your Excellency, there was indeed a reason. There was?
This was found in the victim's jacket pocket. What is that, Counsel?
It is a medical report card, Your Excellency. It would seem that the victim had an appointment at a clinic prior to visiting the restaurant.
Hotel Clinic, yes. There would indeed appear to be an entry for the date in question. November the 19th, noon to past 1 p.m.
The very day of the incident. So the victim went for a late lunch following his appointment. The explanation couldn't be more simple. The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on the case.
I wonder. What do you think, Ryunosuke?
Well, it's hard to see how it could be related, really.
Remember, you can request for it to be entered into the court record as evidence if you think it could be useful. Should I ask for Dr. Wilson's medical report card to be submitted as evidence or not?
Yeah, I mean, why not? The more evidence we have, the better.
Yes!
I don't yet see how that evidence can be useful to my case, but I'd rather have it than not. If I may, I'd like to ask for that medical report card to be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency.
On what grounds?
The court has already been heard conclusive witness testimony. Additional evidence would be extraneous. Not to mention that the victim's movements prior to this arrival at the restaurant are of no concern.
Objection!
Whether or not they are of concern is up to us to decide. We have a right to expose all possible avenues in our defense. I beg your pardon? You have no authority to refuse a perfectly valid request for the submission of evidence.
Very well. The court will grant the defense's request.
Tisk! Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's most disturbing, a most disturbing trend.
Officer, kindly add the victim's medical report card to the court record.
A medical report card of Hotel Clinic was found. Okay. Well, what we need right now is new clues. Well, we just got one. We have to explore things from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Right, I hear you. That's what I've been saying. You can conspire to prolong this trial as much as you like, but it's the day after the festival already for you. Or perhaps you had forgotten that these witness testimonies leave no room for doubt. Feel free to reiterate for the accused, Korekuta-san. Yeah. Shut up. I need to look at this new evidence. I can't examine it. Okay. Alright, he alone was the Englishman dining all by himself. Well, okay, but... So you actually saw that with your own eyes, did you? The victim, Dr. Wilson, dining alone?
I thought you'd forgive me for the position I placed you in.
So, the testimonies of the old man, the soldier, and the waiter all agree on that point. Isn't that interesting? Let us not forget the incontestable evidence we have to support their statements as well. As we can clearly be seen, there's only a single beef steak on the victim's table. A meal for one. No. The antiques dealer, the sergeant, and the waiter who testified before. It's not possible that they are all lying. But if so, then why? If so, then why? If I'm perfectly honest, I have absolutely no idea. No one other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched the Englishman over and out.
Yes!
Why aren't you telling the truth?
What? What did you say, cadet? I clearly remember. There was a woman sitting across the table from the professor. Perhaps one of you might not have noticed. But for both of you to have failed to see the professor's dining companion, it's just not possible. Unfortunately for you, Defendant Naruhodo, it's not just a case of these two witnesses alone. Sorry? The waiter, whose testimony the court heard earlier, clearly stated the same thing. He also said the victim was alone. That's right. Precisely. In other words, you are the sole proponent of this phantom lady. But I... If such a woman were indeed present at the scene, the prosecution demands to see proof. And if no such proof exists, then the prosecution demands that no further mention of this phantom woman be made. It is a blatant waste of the court's time. There's nothing I could say to that. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. We've gleaned some new information now. Well, yes, but I don't feel like it changes much. I can't see that it brings any real discrepancies to light. I wouldn't be so sure. Let me see that medical report card you got before. Oh, you mean this? Yes. This is a brand new piece of evidence, so perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. How exactly? Oh, you'll notice that some piece of evidence is bear a magnifying glass. These are the ones you may examine. I tried to do just that a second ago, but the game seemed to think that that was not a piece worth examining. I see. The tutorial forced me to have this encounter before I could examine it. Press the X button, and you can take a closer look at the piece in question. Use up on the right stick, left on the right stick, down on the right stick, and right on the right stick to rotate the device, the evidence in all directions, and examine it from all angles. By using the left stick, you can move the magnifying glass around. Hunt for clues that may have been missed before. If the crosshairs start to pulsate, press X to investigate further. So, partner, I think you should take a closer look at this medical report card. See if there isn't something new to be learned by examining it in more detail. Alright, I'll see what I can do. I need to use these buttons to inspect any areas of evidence that look suspicious. Alright, let's have a look-see. Report card required for every visit. Name Mr. John Wilson, Hota Clinic. It says Hota Clinic on this medical report card. I hate clinics almost as much as I hate hospitals and surgeries. Aren't they all the same? When I was 5, I caught the only cold I've ever had in my life. And I remember, even though I felt awful already, I had to have this hideous injection in my right arm. I'll never forget it. Never my whole life. Most people would give their arm to have had only one cold in their whole life. Anyway, I don't think this is a clinic where they treat people for illnesses like that. Let's keep looking for clues. We don't want to miss anything. Ah, it's the same text. There isn't further analysis to be made. Ah, it's a dental clinic. This medical report card was first issued some time ago. Yep.
Probably a record of long-term treatment, that's why, with a family doctor, I imagine. Well, I can't imagine going to a doctor. I mean, as long as I'm alive, I'm never consulting one. What? Well, if you were dead, there'd be no point. So you don't like doctors, then? Why would you? They make you drink horrible-tasting medicine, they give you painful injections. And then they demand lots of money from you for the privilege. Oh, when you're at your lowest ebb. You sound like a model patient. The bad case of stubbornness, Celeste, for which the only cure is a very bitter medicine indeed. What was that trophy for? I just got a trophy. For thoroughly examining this thing. Oh, wow. Some kind of medical history. It's an entry for the day the professor was killed. Extraction of molar with topical anesthesia. Extraction of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? It would seem so. Just before the incident, he'd had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they used laughing gas. That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Yes, I've heard of this anesthesia. Although it's hard to believe there's anything that can actually stop you feeling pain. Ah, there's a cautionary note from the medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours post-procedure until anesthetic effects have passed. Really? Sounds like information worth bearing to mind. A record of dental work. On the day of the murder, the victim had undergone dental treatment and had been prohibited from eating or drinking anything but water. This new information. The meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. So I think it's time we listen to the testimony again, don't you? Definitely. But I want to look at more evidence. This plan of the restaurant raises a number of questions, I think. Definitely. It's supposed to show the relative position of everything in the moments following the incident. There's nothing to show the woman you saw there. Exactly, and that's not all. Look here in the upper left. It says kitchen. Oh yes, what of it? No one would use those complicated characters to write kitchen. Especially not if they were in a hurry. You mean you don't remember those characters yourself? Don't you mean you don't remember those characters yourself, don't you? Study harder, Ryunosuke. It's the same thing. Let's look at the back. Well, that's unexpected. What is it? Look. Do you see? It says the witness's name here. Satoru Hosonaga. Well, yes, business cards do tend to show the person's name. That's sort of the point. It's not the name that's unexpected. It's his job title. His job? Oh. Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Primary Criminal Investigations Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Inspector, what on earth? I have no idea. Let's face it, the police have a lot of power and influence. They're wielding it somehow here. The waiter's business card information has been updated. sketch of the restaurant's layout is on the back. On the front, it says that Hosaga-san is a police inspector. Interesting. He's an inspector, but he's a waiter. Was he undercover? Anyway. Time to put the smoking gun in the proper person's hand. Aha! We can prove he was not.
Yes!
Time to break the molds. Well, I think,
What are you wittering, lad? Call yourself a lawyer?
I wish I could, but first and foremost, here, I'm the accused. Ryunosuke. Everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. Thanks, Kazuma. I could see it quite clearly that in cross-examination you just carried out. When you raised your hand straight up like that, so purposefully, you knew exactly what it was you wanted to say. Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking. All right, and thanks for that advice. Korekuju-san, this is a medical report card belonging to the victim.
Ah, I see, and I don't see it. What of it, boy?
Comparing what is written on this report card with your witness statement, something clearly doesn't add up.
Objection!
Damn me. Have you forgotten my words so soon, you amateur? Sorry, what? You are not to interrupt the court proceedings with your amateurish drivel. But let's see if I can explain in words you might understand. It was after 2 p.m. in the afternoon when the victim was murdered at the restaurant. Whatever he may or may not have done before that time is completely irrelevant. But that's, remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your point. Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. This is surely no need to prolong this trial further. The witness testimonies the court has heard have been clear and concise. This medical report card has no bearing on the matter at all, for the simple reason that there is no one else besides this pale-faced pupil who could have possibly... This medical report card has nothing to do with the case? Do you really believe that? What? That outburst half petrified me, boy. Of course I believe it. How could I possibly be relevant? Perhaps because Hota Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic. A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me? Perhaps if I told you that the victim had just had a tooth extracted.
What's this now?
And furthermore, if I told you that as a result the victim had been forbidden from eating. Yes, what are you trying to say, cadet? He had orders not to eat? So what? It's all written up here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours post-procedure while anesthesia wears off. What? No, that can't be. Korekuta-san.
What, boy? What?
As you just heard, when he was killed, sometime shortly after 2 p.m., the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all.
No.
Additionally, there's more. You've assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. But that cannot possibly be the case. Because the victim, as we now know,
had just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of anesthetic. You see how I defeated them with my logic? Expertly done, partner.
Objection!
What? What is this nonsense, you little upstart? These are baseless accusations. Just look at this photographic evidence. You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table.
Objection!
Use your head. That's the very discrepancy we're talking about. Or can't you follow logic?
How dare you?
I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant case have turned. Wouldn't you agree, Ryonosuke? Yes, most definitely. So, having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat. Which leaves one very crucial conundrum. Who, in fact, was eating the pictured beefsteak? The court will hear the opinion of the defense on this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel. Counsel? Oh, that means me, doesn't it? All right, the answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of your turning this trial around. Show them what you're made of. Grip your sword. Got it. So, the person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been... My choices are the victim himself, which I've just spent a considerable amount of effort disproving. Me, which would ruin my case. The two witnesses, absurd, and as yet unknown third party. That's obviously the right answer. But I must know what will happen if I choose these other options. What happens if I save the game? Does it save the game at this specific point in time? Like, how precise is the saving in this game? I guess I ought to find out. It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours for the seizure. What? Okay, so it did put me back a little bit to load, but not too much. All right. Let's just skip ahead. We've seen this all before. Alright, now I must know what happens if I answer the wrong thing here. Now that I've saved. Alright. The victim himself. Obviously, the victim who couldn't have eaten was eating the steak himself. What? Ryonosuke, come on, pull yourself together. The victim couldn't have been eating at the time. You just told the court that yourself.
Oh, yes. Of course. I thought it didn't sound quite right. Look, you've even stunned the judge with that ludicrous answer. I had to see it. I had to see the look on their faces, man. All right, then. I can use this state of shock to give me time to think and come up with the right answer. I suggest you think it through more carefully and try not to shock him in the first place. You're right. Sorry. Was me. I was eating with the professor. I think it may have been me. What? And it's not enough that you took the man's life, but you took his meal as well? That's a bee sting on a crying face. Some people seem to think they can do whatever they like. And some people seem to think they can say whatever they like, Ryonosuke. I can. I have the power of having saved the game. I can say whatever the fuck I want. Sorry, you're right. Of course I didn't eat it. The next time you make a quip like that, I'll make you eat your own words. Then you'll be needing some dental surgery yourself. This was so worth it. All right, I get the message. The two witnesses, obviously. I bet it was the sergeant and the intake streeler. Nosa-san and Korekuta-san. Arg. Are you taking the cake, cadet? You think I'd share rations with this decrepit graybeard?
Insult me by associating me with this brutish carnivore, would you?
You were both present at the scene. Neither of you can deny that you had the opportunity. You addle-brained idiot. I had my own regulation beefsteak set before me at my own table. And as any soldier worth his salt will tell you, you seize whatever rations are put in front of you.
It would seem you may need to reconsider your answer, Counsel.
Of course, Your Excellency. It's hilarious that you're given the choice, only it's the illusion choice, but the things that happen when you fail are hilarious. Obviously, we've established this my methods may be unorthodox, but in trying each of the answer, we've clearly established it cannot have been the victim, it cannot have been me, and it cannot have been the other two people in the room. Therefore, by process of elimination, ergo, obviously, it can only have been one answer. Someone else who was sitting at the professor's table.
Attention!
You will not let this go, will you? There was no such person. There was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything. Yet we have evidence of a half-eaten steak on this table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that there was somebody else there eating it. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. It's clear that these witness testimonies are unreliable. If the court decides to push through ruling at this stage, we will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair trial relentlessly. Kazuma! Are you insane? You would take on the government? Don't worry, Counsel. I have no issue with you. What do you mean? I have issue with them, these two witnesses on the stand. Ooh. What are you talking about? We have demonstrated the evidence that the victim was not alone. So, if it now turns out that the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, Obviously, you will be charged with perjury. Perjury? And since this is a murder trial, you will also be deemed complicit in the killing. Complicit in murder? No! Negative. There was no mentions of this at the tactical meeting. I was just following orders.
That's right, as the man says. Just saying, you never saw the gentlewoman. That's what they told us. Oh.
What? What did you just say, Korekutu-san? Did you just admit to there being a conspiracy to conceal the truth?
Well, no.
You were just following orders.
Now, hold on, lad. I was just,
Say you never saw the gentlewoman? Grr. When you say gentlewoman, do you mean you saw the victim with a lady from overseas? What?
Objection!
What? What is the meaning of this? These witnesses gave false statements? Is this true, you pair? Just one simple slip of the tongue.
Order, counsel. Please explain what is going on here.
It's painfully clear now. You tried to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth. Absolutely not. The prosecution knows nothing of this. Then who's behind this? Who tried to make you keep your mouth shut?
Well,
Look at the baby pulling on the guy's mustache. That's classified. So, you're prepared to be tried as conspirator to this murder, are you? You wouldn't. This can't be happening. Ryunosuke, judging from the way they're reacting to this, I'd say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. However, I don't believe Achi had any idea about it. What are you saying? I mean, to wield that kind of influence, there are only a handful of possibilities. It could only have been the government, the military, or the police, I suppose. Well, any ideas about who might be behind this conspiracy? If we can affirm who tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. So we need to name whoever it is that tried to make these witnesses keep their mouths shut. Of course, we'll need evidence before we make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever it was really did wield his or her power here. But how? How can we possibly... Remember how we made progress before? We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue as a result. Oh yes, that's right. Well, that's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything and make sure there's nothing we missed. There's no time to lose. I already took care of this. You're way behind. I already know it was the police. Because the police chief investigator was undercover as a frickin' waiter. Judge. The judge wants answers. And you will get them, Judge. I assure you. If it's proven that these witnesses have been manipulated, I assure you the penalty will be severe. Please, wait, Your Excellency. I had no idea about any of this. I swear to every Shinto god. I knew nothing. I was just doing my job. And what does the defense have to say about this? Well, Your Excellency. No time to think. I'm just going to have to close my eyes and shout out the first name that comes into my head.
Besides the prosecution, the only person with the necessary influence to manipulate the witnesses is... I know it was this guy, Satoru Hosonaga, the head waiter of the European-style restaurant. He was serving there on the day of the incident, but he is actually a chief inspector. Obviously, this is the man. But I need to try all these other options. Alright, what's the most absurd option first?
Yes!
There! What do you make of that? I think, counsel, that you may want to close your ears as well as your eyes. Otherwise, the sighs of disappointment in the courtroom may very well deafen you. If you feel you must close your eyes in a crisis, I suggest you keep your mouth shut next time, too. Otherwise, I may have to use the influence I have in this courtroom to shut it permanently. Oh, that cost me. That cost me points. I don't know what it is about that prosecutor exactly, but he really makes me wince in pain sometimes. I don't have a great deal of influence myself, but believe me, I can find other ways to make you keep your mouth shut as well. Alright. Don't get angry. I'll think again. There must be a clue somewhere in all the evidence in the court record. Actually, now that I think about it, there might be some pieces of evidence I haven't thoroughly examined yet, but I did. What does the defense have to say about all this, Your Excellency. No time to think.
Yes!
There. What do you mean of that? Oh, it's the exact same. There isn't an individual response to each. It's the exact same thing. Well, all right. I was just playing around. Yeah, let's not... I needed to know if there was a different response, but it seems that no matter which you choose wrong, they're just going to punish you. They're not going to tell you. Alright, anyway.
Yes!
Well, surely that would be Satoru Hosonaga-san. Hosonaga-san? The waiter who took the stand earlier?
Objection!
Poppycock! What possible reason would the waiter have to make the witnesses give false testimony? Not to mention the fact that even our head waiter could not possibly have that level of influence.
For once, I would agree. If that is, the man were truly a waiter.
What? If you were truly aware,
Come on, Ryonosuke. Time to hit this court with the truth. The truth about Satoru Hosonaga-san's real identity as proven by this evidence.
Yes!
The plan of the restaurant sketched by the man in question. I agree. It shows a great deal of attention to detail, but I'm not sure that we can conclude anything. Oh, we can. Remember how he hesitated to hand over his card earlier? Sorry, Excellency. That's the back of the card. It's the back of the card that's of interest. It's the back of the card that's of interest. I beg your pardon. Or perhaps I should have said the front. Yes, it's the front of the back of the card. That's where the telling detail is. Every time he leans forward, slams his hands against the table. Sometimes there's a big crash, but sometimes there's a tiny little half-ass slap, like a baby slap. And when he does the baby slap, he immediately looks down and at his hands every time.
in surprise, like, oh, did I just make that sound? I meant to hit the table harder. I guess I'm still new at this. Would somebody please explain what this overexcited student is trying to say? Osanaga-san sketched the plan of the restaurant on the reverse side of his business card. The front of that business card reveals the man in question's profession, his true profession. The waiter's profession. But that's surely... Good gracious! That's right, Your Excellency. The card reads, Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. What? The waiter is a police detective? I haven't heard any mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before? The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power, absolute power as far as the regular civilians are concerned. So, witnesses there in the stand. Was it in fact the waiter who gave you your orders? Was it he who told you not to mention that you'd seen this foreign gentlewoman at the scene? Well... Hold. Inspector Osanaga. I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Well, is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course, here you are. Yes, I remember now. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card. I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It's my guiding principle. But I let myself be distracted when I made the sketch. It was an unusually careless mistake. So, you mean to say you really are a detective? But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Ah, of course. Your salary must be terrible. No, you buffoon. It wasn't a secondary job to supplement my salary. I was working undercover. Oh, undercover. Yes. There have been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter, working undercover. Incidents at the restaurant? What kind of incidents? That would be classified police information, which I am not at liberty to divulge. However, I can state categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide. Very well then, Inspector Hosanaga, but you will elaborate on one point for the court. Of course, Your Excellency. We have just heard new information from the two witnesses before you. That at the time of the shooting, there was in fact another person present at the victim's table. If that is indeed true, clearly you would also have been aware of this person's presence having served at the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to this other diner. Therefore, I am led to assume that you, in your professional capacity as a police officer, you required these witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct? Ahem. Correct, Your Excellency. Unbelievable. As I suspected. Bang. As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student, sitting opposite the victim, at the same table, opposite.
Opposite to the victim, at the same table was a young lady, whom I guessed to be an Englishwoman. So the truth comes out. I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the Bureau. It was then that I received some special orders. Special orders? You mean to say, remove the Englishwoman from the scene at once. It was made clear that the Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders. But what if this Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interest not to pursue that idea. The Empire views the friendly terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. And Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an Englishwoman as the primary suspect, well, without irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question. So that's the reason for the disappearance of the Phantom Woman in this case. But it's not right. Everybody's silent. Even Kazuma. One possibility does spring to mind. What do you mean, Kazuma? Yuma University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain. And I'm fairly certain that one of them, studying in the medical facility's research laboratory, is a young English woman. What? You're a shrewd man. I can see why you were chosen. You're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. You mean, when I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. Then the court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The Englishwoman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Giselle Brett. She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory of Yuma University's medical facility. What? What is happening here? What's happening is that you've completely lost any sense of control the way this case is going, Mr. Prosecutor. I don't needs. That's right, he does. He needs to go outside. Oh no, he got his leg stuck. Okay, hold on a second, honey. Let's leave the stands. Let's leave the stands in suspense, along with anyone that may or may not be watching. Hold on a second.
All right. All 0 viewers. I have 0 viewers, right? Totally have 0 viewers. 0 watching, that's right. I hope all 0 viewers didn't get bored of staring at one screen forever. I have returned. The dog has been relieved. Alright, let's see. What did he say? I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of this lady's presence at the scene. It is a conspiracy. From the highest echelons of the police bureau. This chief inspector is behind erasing the evidence. But he is only following orders from his superior, who presumably is only following orders from his superior. No doubt, this conspiracy goes all the way to the top. He was ordered to... And he ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. Fiend. It must now be up to your excellency to decide how to deal with this situation. Very well. My thoughts on the matter are as follows. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise. Namely, that the victim was dining alone. However, as we have now discovered that this premise is false, it would be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point. But, Your Excellency, that would mean missing the noon deadline of a ruling in order to send the telegraphic reports to Great Britain. Our own government will surely be very displeased by such actions.
Calm yourself, Counsel. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings of my courtroom.
Ugh.
Inspector Hosonaga.
Yes, sir.
You will locate this Jezebel Brett,
not Jezebel.
and escort her to the courtroom with the utmost urgency so that she may give her testimony.
At once, Your Excellency. But that means you'll be going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau. As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So it won't be a problem. If I don't die before I get to her. Nothing will get in my way. Except maybe death.
Court will adjourn briefly. The prosecution must call the English student Jezebel Brett to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear?
Yes. Your Excellency.
Good. Then we will have a 30-minute recess before reconvening.
To be continued. ... I was this close to the end of the episode when Chauncey needed to go outside. How about that? Yes, save my current progress. Select a slot. Select a slot. This one. Was this episode Junior? 22nd November, 11:38 a.m. Supreme Court Judicature, Defendant's Antechamber 5. Am I in episode 2? You haven't saved your game. I just did, dummy. So it said to be continued. That means that was the end of episode 1, right? Or is that the end of, like, chapter 1 of episode 1? Is each episode a separate case? And there's multiple chapters within it? Or... I don't know. I don't know. My goal was to play one episode. Did I just do that? Or was that just chapter 1 of episode 1? There's also escapades. When do I play those? Sarah. In the first of 8 escapades in the Defendant's Antechamber, the Rants magazine, Ryunosuke finds 2 troublemaking witnesses from his earlier trial having a battle of words in the defense's antechamber, leading to a real tongue lashing. I just want to know if that was episode 1. Oh, it says right here. Episode 1, The Adventure of the Great Departure, Trial Part 2. Okay, so each episode has multiple parts. When it said to be continued, it didn't mean to be continued into the next episode. It meant to be continued in Part 2 of episode 1. I see. That's how I thought it would be. I would have been surprised if it said that this game had, 5 unique cases, but, like, episode 2 was just a continuation of case 1. Okay. Well, now, do I continue? He said, do I continue into part 2? My goal was to do the whole episode, but now that I know it's broken up into parts, maybe I can split this up into further chunks. How long have I been playing? An hour and a half. That's a good amount of time to switch things up. I could play a different game. Or I could play a different game, or I could keep playing this one, or I could take a break from the PlayStation and get some work done. No, I think this is a natural break. I'm gonna stop playing this right now. I'm gonna take a break, and maybe I'll come back and play more of this, or maybe I will play something else. But either way, I'm gonna take a break. So anyone who watched this, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed me voicing all of the characters. I tried to keep their voices distinct. I went to acting school, but I was never very good at the dialects portion. I would say that was maybe one of my less good subjects. But it's always fun to try to put on voices anyway. Especially when you're playing a primarily text-based story game. All right. Well, I'm going to take a break. I'll be back on a little later, and we'll see what I get up to then. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your weekend, if it's the weekend.